For the love of money is the root of all evil.
In my video, The World's Richest Man Hoax, I wanted to illustrate the true wealth of the world's richest family using something very tangible. So in that video, I showed you Waddesdon, one of the world's most palatial and expensive homes ever built. And by 1957, the Rothschilds had amassed so much wealth that they bequeathed Waddesdon to the National Trust. Of course, the house remains under the watchful eye of the Rothschilds to this day, and as one viewer commented, they no longer have to pay any taxes on it because it is in the National Trust. But there's a much better way to calculate the unimaginable wealth of the Rothschilds, simply by using history. Now, we know one of the most astonishing stories of Rothschild wealth revolves around the Battle of Waterloo, in which Nathan Rothschild used his inside knowledge of the outcome and his faster horses and couriers to play the market by getting the results of the battle before anyone else knew the outcome. And I'm reading this article from darkpolitrix.com. As many of you know, Nathan Rothschild caused a sell-off in bonds and gave all the traders who looked to him for guidance the impression that the French had won at Waterloo. The other traders also rushed to sell their bonds, causing a 95% decline in their original worth. And once the bottom had dropped out, Nathan Rothschild then rebought as many bonds back as he could at hugely discounted prices, and in doing so he multiplied his wealth 20 times in just 3 days of trading. Now, that history was shared in the 1934 Hollywood movie, The House of Rothschild, which was backed by the Rothschild family.
Buy. Yes, buy. Have you had any news? What do you think about this rumor? I don't listen to rumors, Mr. Baring. You hear what they say? Wellington defeated. You mind telling me what you're going to do? I have no objection to all London knowing what I'm going to do. I'm buying.
So that very important history is on the record. Now, in my last video, I calculated 8% interest as a compounding annual rate of return for the Rothschilds, given that the family not only can move markets, but manipulates and has been able to manipulate markets for decade after decade. An 8% return is very conservative. However, it's also tangible and quantifiable. You see, by buying up all of the bonds after the Battle of Waterloo, Nathan Rothschild became the single largest debtor to the English government, which ultimately gave him control over the Bank of England. English bonds were a debt guaranteed by future tax revenue of the English government. Therefore, the taxes the citizens paid were going to pay the 8% interest that the English government had to pay to borrow the money. So, the Battle of Waterloo occurred in 1815. So let's just round up the quote-unquote control of the Bank of England by the Rothschilds to 1817, since we're in the year 2017, giving us a nice round number of 200 years to work with. And we're going to do the math in just a second, but I want to give you something else that's very quantifiable. Instead of guessing what the net worth of the Rothschilds might have been around 1817, I found this article from the Days of Noah, the Rothschild family from 1800 to 1818, the plan to control the world. Now, fast forward through all the intrigue and the gold trading for kings to 1815, the year Nathan Mayer Rothschild made his famous statement, "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply." Now, he would also go on to brag that in the 17 years he had been in England, he had increased the £20,000 stake given to him by his father 2,500 times to £50 million. Now remember, that's 1815. Let's just bump it up to 1817, and we'll keep the other 4 Rothschild brothers out of the conversation, each of whom were making separate fortunes of their own in different areas of the world. So let's go over to the compound interest calculator, and let's just assume for the sake of argument that Lord Rothschild was using puffery or braggery when he said he was worth 50 million, and let's just give him credit for 10 million, and see what happens with the magic of compound interest and that already locked in annual interest rate that they were guaranteed by the Bank of England of 8%. 10 million. Length of time in years you plan to save. Well, I think the Rothschilds would probably sock that away for, say, 200 years. At an annual rate of interest of 8%, in 200 years you will have $48,389,495,849,000. That's really chump change to the Rothschilds. Why don't we take him at his word and check out what 50 million is worth over 200 years. Change that to a 5. That's 50 million invested over 200 years at an annual interest rate of 8%. In 200 years, they would have achieved $241 trillion in wealth. And of course, that doesn't account for any gold and silver market manipulation. It doesn't account for any of their other investments. And it certainly doesn't account for any additional wealth they were able to build when they implemented the central bank in the United States, the Federal Reserve, in 1913. This is just the money Lord Rothschild claimed that he was worth in 1815. And of course, we started this calculation in 1817 just to give us a nice round number of 200 years to work with. So perhaps now you can understand why, by some estimates, the Rothschild family is worth more than $500 trillion. And the next time you find yourself at a dinner party or by the workplace water cooler and somebody wants to tell you about the world's richest man and mentions Jeff Bezos, who made his $100 billion just over the last 20 years, you may just want to remind them about the history of the Rothschilds, the manipulation of financial markets for more than 200 years, and a little something called compounding interest. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support at sgtreport.com, thephaser.com, and thelibertymill.com. Real news, 24/7. Have a great week. God bless.
I believe so far this year, there have been over 1,500 arrests related to pedophilia. And you don't see that in the news.